check in on the Lakers' second-round pick, which might be Bronny James. LeBron worked out with both of his sons this week and wrote on Instagram, "Pop's over here getting emotional just thinking about your journeys so far." That's really sweet.
It is.
Here's a recent history of the 55th pick, which the Lakers have. It's a lot of guys that either are development guys or don't have a ton of on their resume. Some decent overseas experience there when Josh and I were grinding some overseas tape.
People remember Kyle Guy from Virginia, but it's not even a lot of big, and Aaron Wiggins from Kentucky, not even a lot of big college names.
Yeah, so I had Josh make that I feel like the nepotism angle has run wild. And it's just like, guys, the 55th pick usually doesn't work out, so you can take a flyer on a superstar's son. So what are the chances that they select Bronny?
I think it's darn near 100%. I think Bronny will be, assuming he's there, I don't think any other team's going to take him. They will take him at 55. I think LeBron will re-sign with them for 3 years, $160 million, and they will play together, and it'll be a great story. Mm-hmm. Look, the nepotism angle, it's obviously there. I don't think they draft a player the equivalent of Bronny at 55 if he's not LeBron's son. But nepotism is rampant in the NBA. Michael Malone, David Adelman, anyone?
Yeah.
Their father's coaching the league. That's just to name a few. Mm-hmm. All right, it's throughout the league. And so what LeBron is doing is giving him a chance. And if I do think Bronny, I think his work ethic, his character is great. I think he has enough athleticism. He's actually fairly athletic. He shoots it well enough. And I think that this will be a good move. They develop him. I think the only thing that would mess it up, Nick, and I don't think this will happen, but if LeBron pushed JJ or them to play him when he's not ready, and I don't think
I don't think that'll happen. I'll give my answer in a moment, but first I just want to ask you a direct question because you said assuming he's there. There is now more bubbling, call it, takes that why wouldn't a team, because what's the history of the 54th or the 53rd or 52nd pick, not much better, use that pick on Bronny and then tell the Lakers, we want 2 second-round picks for him. To draft him purely because we know you want him, Los Angeles, so we're going to draft him and then make you pay 150 cents on the dollar because you want him and that's more valuable to us than the 50 whatever pick of the draft. Do you think that is a likely outcome tonight? That a team drafts him as a trade asset?
It makes some sense. Here's why I say it won't happen. And look, Rich isn't the only one. He's arguably, Rich Paul, the most powerful agent in the game. But there's a handful of guys like him that are powerful. And Rich has a lot of players. And if you draft Bronny for that reason, you're clearly not trying to develop him.
Right.
All right, so now he's not in a good situation, and you've upset one of the most powerful agents in the game who has a lot of players. So I don't think they'll do that.
Yeah, I think it'd be great if a team drafted him because they're like, we actually think he's more valuable than the guy
and I think
who's on the board.
LeBron would be on board with that.
100%.
Right.
All right, so here's the thing. Here's what I will say about the nepotism angle. Shout out to Tom Haberstroh, 2 fire articles in the last couple of weeks, debunking the 1988 Defensive Player of the Year award.
I wasn't there for that show.
And I'm sorry. You should have been.
Debunk is a little strong.
Why don't you read the article?
I read the article and I read the counter articles, and I really like Haberstroh.
Okay.
But we need another bite at that apple.
That's fine. Sorry, buddy. That's what happens when you miss work. But the other article that he wrote
that was
today, or not today, but that is relevant today, is he looked at what colleges overperform draft slot. And so the number 1 college that overperforms draft slot since 1989 is Kentucky at 26%. Number 2 is Texas at 25%. Number 3 is UCLA at 24%. Sadly, Syracuse the worst. They underperform by 48%. That's a bummer, but whatever.
Does that mean Bayheim?
So again, the best was Kentucky at 26%. Kids of NBA players.
Oh, I like this.
Overperform draft slot by 30%.
Yeah.
So the nepotism angle is people hear LeBron and they're like, oh, that's the whole thing of it. There is some real data to suggest there is an undervalued resource in, his dad played in the league.
Yeah.
And by the way, that makes sense, not only from a genetic standpoint, but also coming up around the game, being comfortable, all those things. And there was a kid that went in the lottery who averaged 2.5 points a game in the Australian League. This or went in the 20s, I should say. So I understand Bronny's college stats are not good at all. Go check the college stats of everyone that was a first-round pick, and you'll see some that look like Bronny. So I just don't think it's an outrage that this guy's going to be a second-round pick. And I think that even if LeBron were retired, there would be a team that'd be like, you know what? You know what I think's worth a flyer? LeBron James's son. Yeah. Because, and so I think so.
Okay. But let's not pretend that's why people are going to draft Bronny James, because of that 30%. I agree, genetics and all of that. I'm a big, I talk about that a lot in terms of genetic components and all of that, and having your dad be LeBron James, that it's going to benefit you. But I would say that if they were actually using that data and were relying on it, then, and that's why they were making that pick, that's one thing. Then you could say this wasn't nepotism, this is science. But let's not pretend that that's what they're doing. We know that's not what they're doing. They don't actually think that Bronny's going to be much of anything or that special. But I will tell you, I actually know and met one of a 50th pick in the NBA draft, LaVoy Allen. And listen, he was no star by no means. He was like 6'10", 6'11", monster. And I watched him even in high school and in college, and then he got drafted. He was my best friend growing up. His cousin played basketball with him, and was even like, I think, his best man at his wedding or whatever, crazy stuff. And so I got to meet him and all of that. And he went toe to toe, with for the Sixers against the Boston Celtics in the playoffs. He held his own against Kevin Garnett, and it's like he's the most like stoic guy ever. And Kevin Garnett, there's an image of him like screaming at his face, and just like LaVoy Allen just like doing nothing. So it's not to say that a 50th pick can't be a contributor, right? Can't actually become anything. I know Wilds gave us a list of all those names, and probably most people watching this are like, I don't know a single one of those players, except for maybe some of you big basketball heads out there. And so I get it. And so that's the whole thing. It's like, well, why not just draft Bronny? Especially if it could maybe lure LeBron over here or whatever. But this idea of not wanting to anger Rich Paul, super duper agent, that's nonsense. Get out of here with this. Where you're gonna, if it's a strategic move that can benefit you, you're not gonna do it because of Rich Paul. Like, that's just nonsense. Nonsense. And Rich Paul, I understand he's growing his own list of players and all of that, but like, let's be real here. It's like 60% of his power comes from LeBron James. I understand he represents other big name players and all that. I get that. But let's not pretend that LeBron James isn't a massive gravitational pull causing that. So this idea that they can't, if a team has a legitimate strategy at play where they're saying, hey, we're going to draft Bronny, we know the Lakers want him, we're going to want to make some moves, we can do this, and that's just that's just a good move, that's good business for that team, and they're not going to do it because they're afraid of some of the repercussions. Like, that's just nonsense. Get out of here. Seriously. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. But listen, can Bronny be anything? The reality is, nobody would be talking about him right now if he wasn't LeBron James' son. And that's what I think a lot of people have issue with. It's not that, like, it's just unearned. And I've said this in a previous video, actually. People don't like things that are unearned. Unearned reputation, unearned opportunity, whatever it may be. And that's why people had a big problem with LeBron James before he even went into the NBA, was because people were already crowning him as the king, as the chosen one. They were saying that he's going to be better than Michael Jordan before he ever played his first game. And so people take issue with that because it's unearned. And most of the fans who are living their lives had to earn every single thing that came their way. Every single thing. Family, money, career, whatever it may be, whether they're super duper lawyers, construction workers, teachers, like, they had to work hard for their reputation, for their career opportunities, for their life opportunities. And it's not to say that someone like Bronny James isn't working hard, but the attention and the reputation and the leg up that he's getting on some of these other players, the common fan will just take issue with that, because they're looking around being like, what the heck? I didn't get this. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And I think that's why people get upset about some of this thing. It's not just so much that there's this fundamental issue with nepotism, although I think there is, because quite frankly, I don't want a surgeon to operate on my heart who's there just because his dad was a world-class surgeon. I don't want that. I don't care if your dad was a world-class surgeon. I want the guy that really had to work really, really hard every single day to earn the reputation as a top surgeon rather than just getting all those opportunities because of his dad. Like, there's a difference. And obviously, basketball has significantly less stakes involved, and so I get it. But I'm strictly just trying to unpack this from a fan perspective. Right? Not from a perspective of like, what should the Lakers do? What should the Warriors do? Like, whoever. Like, that's like a little bit less interesting to me at this point, because they keep talking directly to the fans of like, the fans have such issues with nepotism and stuff like that. Well, you have to understand why. Majority of the fans watching are not on TV making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year talking about sports. Okay? The average fan lives a harder life. Okay, they have to pay their $8,000, whatever it is, deductible for their healthcare. There's a lot of things that are hard. They can't fill up their tank of gas. They feel inflation. They feel the wages fluctuating. They feel all of this, how everything's getting more expensive around them. I'm not trying to turn this into a political standpoint, but that's the thing. So people are more restless and frustrated with the powers that be keep on keeping on. While the other people, and again, the NBA is going to be majority more, I don't want to say working class, but just not super wealthy. Majority of the people aren't able to sit on those courtside seats. And the NBA always wants to like highlight that. That's the thing too. The NBA is all about the stars and all about the rich and the famous people. They're always showing you the celebrities and some tech billionaire, and you always get to see the people who are sitting courtside, and it's always some old guy with some young woman who's like dressed in a prom gown or whatever, especially for Miami, that one woman that's always there, whoever the heck she is. And it's always like, I'm not here for that. I don't care about that. I don't care about Drake being there or whoever's being there. It's always about the rappers and the actors and the singers and whoever. And you're just like, the average basketball fan is not there for any of that nonsense. But the NBA really, really leans into it. And the NFL, until Taylor Swift came around, they didn't. Sure, you would maybe see a celebrity here and there in a box, but it was always about the people who are shirtless and slapping their bellies. And it was the true, actual diehard fans. The ones that are there in the freezing cold. The people that truly, truly care. And so to me, you might be like, well, why are you bringing this all up? And again, it's all connected. The reason why the fans are reacting this way is because they see opportunity that's given to someone who already has everything in the world, while they're looking at it and being like, well, I'm not getting any of these opportunities. And so that is the fundamental issue with nepotism. And basketball, professional sports as a whole, is all about who you root for and who you root against. That's the reason why they make all this money. Because I root for this team, I root against this team. I watch this game to root for them, I watch this game to root against them. That's how they make their money. The fans' views, which then goes into the ads. Like, that's how it works. So yeah, moves like this, you open up the door to frustrate fans, to make fans angry, and empower fans to have an opinion. That's just the way it is. So, right or wrong, it's part of the entertainment industry. And that's what the NBA is. It's entertainment industry, it's narratives, it's gossip, it's reality television. And right now, the reality television is LeBron James' son, one of the greatest basketball players, if not the greatest basketball player of all time. His son is trying to play basketball in the NBA. His son has proven not to be this elite, great talent just yet, especially not at the level as LeBron was at that age. And yet he's still going to be signed, he's still going to be drafted. And then you're going to try to gaslight people and tell people that they shouldn't have an opinion about it, or that they shouldn't get annoyed with like nepotism and stuff like that. Come on. I just, what are we saying here? But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think that the narrative around Bronny is warranted in terms of nepotism and all of that? And do you think it would be a good idea for the Lakers to actually draft Bronny? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.